This is Molecular with DNB Academy, and today we're going to be talking about optimizing workflow so you can get tracks done quicker and just ideas laid down quicker in general. Before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe so we can keep making more of these videos. So, what do I mean by optimizing workflow and just getting ideas done quicker? So what I mean by that is having all the tools organized in a way that you obviously know it and are comfortable with and can quickly get ideas started. So for me, it is very, very simple. I have my own huge library of samples that I've created myself, and I can just, if I want to get started quickly, I can just go over here to my drums group. I already have 4 tracks set up. Some of them already have some effects, and I can just click on the kick. I can write kick. I can go over here. I can choose a nice kick, get it sounding decent in there. I can write snare. I can look for a snare that sounds decent. Maybe this one. And then I could go, for example, hat. I could grab this hat, and maybe I want another one, and maybe I want some other breaks or layers, so I could write down layer, and maybe I could find a layer. So maybe this layer, and now I could go by steps and see how it sounds like. And just like this, I've got a nice simple drum beat going, and then obviously I can have something else. So maybe I want some more hats. So I could just go in and write hat and look for maybe another hat layer. Maybe I want an open hat, so I can write down open. And here we go. And just like that, I have a nice drum beat going. Then it depends, you need to see what samples you use the most, and you need to make those samples and then organize them in a way. So I'll take you through that process quickly. So let's say I've just made these hats. I like it, I want to save it for later. So in Ableton, you can export it, or you can use the short keys, which for Windows would be Control-Shift-R, or for Mac would be Command-Shift-R. And then you just press that. It's going to prompt you to export. This is how normally I export it. Just click export. And once you've clicked export, you're going to have the window where you want to export. I normally organize by months. So I would go over here and I would call this hats. I'm just going to call it hats video as it was done in this video. And then you can use whatever naming works best for you. So that's normally how I go to organize my samples. Now, I also have a template project. As you could see, already starts with a drums group, 4 tracks inside that group, a bass group, 3 tracks inside this bass group, and a musical elements group with a MIDI and an audio track inside there. It's quite simple to set this up. Just need to create the tracks, group them, name them wherever you want. I have some effects on the drums group already, some effects on the bass group, nothing on the musical elements. And then once you have this, you can just save it as a template. Whenever you go to save, you can just save as a template, or you can even then set it up right off the bat as a default live project. I already have some sends, so I can quickly get stuff going and send some stuff into there. Another thing that I think is very, very important is if I'm dragging samples in or something, I can just create an audio track, and you can see it already has an EQ and a saturator, and it's also on resampling mode. So what you want to do normally whenever you start a new track, it's going to look like this. Okay, so what we want to do is, obviously I have it resampled because it's just faster for me to resample. I can just create a new audio track, arm it, press record. And there we go. I've got a new track. Okay, perfect. And so what we want to do is just set it to resample. I already have an EQ and a saturator built in, so I can just EQ stuff quick if I want. So I could quickly come over here and just, maybe I just want this as a layer. So I could do it like that. So the way that you set this up is, once you've got the track as you want it to be, in this case I just have an EQ, saturator, and in resampling mode, you just right click and save as default audio track. Just press yes. Perfect. So you can do that with audio tracks, MIDI tracks, with effects. If maybe you want your EQs to always have a dip like this, you could just save this EQ8 as a default preset. So that works as well. Now, another thing that I find very important as well to have my workflow working good is have these little setups here by colors and having stuff organized by colors. So my red one is normally drums that I find myself going back to, and also other projects. So I can go back to these older projects and get a nice drum samples from them. And then here's my distortion, saturation, favorite plugins. There's too many of them. I don't use half of it. EQs, reverbs and delays, compression, and other dynamics such as gating, etc. And then mixing and mastering, which is more mixed down type plugins. And then the best samples. This is literally anything that I find interesting, I will drop it here. This could be samples from other sample packs, although I don't really use other sample packs, very, very rarely. And just other samples in general. And just things I find interesting. So I have loads of kicks, snares, hats, drums that I've made, loads of bass sounds that I've created. So this is very easy for me to get something started quite quickly. So you could see we already have some nice drum loops here. And maybe I want to find some other sounds here. So I could go maybe, okay, so this sounds interesting. So I could use this like this, like this. Sounds a bit dry. I could quickly send it over to some reverb. That's just because the workflow is optimized. Or maybe I could get some other sound to fit this. So let's see if I could find another sound to fit. So it's just quickly getting all these sorts of different sounds. Just very, very quick. So I could quickly then come over here. So there we go. We've got a nice little bass group going. I could use then these other sounds to fill in the gaps. So, you know, that's very, very quickly we've already got a nice little groove going. And maybe I could be like, okay, but I want something else. I want to get a musical idea layered. So I could also go, I also have musical stuff in here. So I could be like, okay, let's get some more musical stuff laid down. I could just browse through my sounds. Let's mute this and let's see how this sounds. I have no idea how this sounds. It's a very big sample. Not the most pleasant sound. Okay, so here's a more pleasant sound. There we go. Maybe this would work. Okay, maybe I could go like, maybe I want a difference here, so there we go. And then quickly we've got a nice theme together, and I could keep going for other sounds and seeing what would sound good. I could then maybe grab these drums here just as a layer for the background of my main sound. Let's see. And I could keep going. I have loads of different samples that I can keep importing into this project. Maybe so I'm good now for musical elements, so I could search for some other bass sounds. And if I want to work on these sounds, I can quickly use the effects and get some nice processing on them. So here's another bass sound that I can add. So I could keep going and adding and adding and adding to this, and this is how you can quickly get ideas laid together. Because if you have an idea in your head and you know that you can quickly get a drum group going, or maybe you have an idea for a musical element, so you create those musical elements and then you can quickly get the drums and the bass for it. Or maybe you have an idea for the bass, so once you've got the bass done, you can quickly get some drums to work. And I've done these drums. We could, if we had an idea for a bass, so let's say I had an idea for a bass and I write down this bass. So I've laid down the idea for the bass, but now I want to quickly see how it would sound with some drums. I've got full drum loops that I could just go over here, drums. It just depends on what style I want. I could go for maybe something like this. Or I could go for another style. Funnily enough, these are quite similar styles. So here's another style that I could go. Different variation. It just depends really on what I'm looking for. I could keep going. So here's another different style. And this will just help me to quickly get a sense of how the bass group and the groove would be sounding like. So yeah, this was Molecular with DNB Academy. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe so we can keep making more of these videos, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.